farmers know farming is an art. Like life, we know it can be hard. And it can be surprising, too. But sometimes it's about being at the right place.
Alright, we're live.
A wise man once said that the best lessons are learned under the wide open sky. I think the same thing can be said about our art. Yeah, it can be messy, but it's always beautiful. So beautiful it can help you see yourself and the world in all new ways. In the art of farming, the soil is the canvas, the seeds are the paint, and the harvest is the masterpiece.
Farming Simulator 25. Let's go. Ooh, we got chickens and rice.
Hey, this is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty darn good.
Yes, yeah.
Missing something?
That's pretty funny.
You're too cute to eat. Maybe some fresh spinach for a change?
Press A. Signing in. We got the content. European map, North American map, South. We got from North America. I want to learn how to make one of these maps. Michigan? Where's the Michigan map from? Oh, it's not a certain area. Oh, Prairie Farm, Michigan. One-third scale of real-life location, Michigan. Fields, wide open terrain, close Michigan beaches. Beaches away from the map. Huh. Interesting farm. That's a big farm. American. Is that Chinese farm? Easy Lee. Central Pennsylvania. Alright, we're going there. Real-life terrain in the central PA area. Are we in Amishville? slavers. Wheat farmers. Start money. Yeah, we're gonna need a half a mil. Start with a 500,000. Economy. Easy. Start farm. Alright, infiltrate, yes. Let's just see what we got. Alright, let me turn this down a little bit. I don't know if I can do the music. Might have to change it up. Might have to change her up. Actually, I want to be listening to podcast while playing. You guys will be listening to it with me. Unfortunately.
This on my report, X22 report, and the shooter is very, very interesting because this guy, he drove from Vegas with his weapons.
Alright. It's the X22 report. We'll be starting up in a minute. Alright, we're ready. Start the game. Get a good looking character. Oh, what are the chances my controller died? Yep. Wanna grab batteries. Hold on.
Hi, everyone. I just want to welcome everyone to Mr. and
Put them
Mrs.
in,
X.
put them
This is
in.
a show where we talk about the current topics. This is the first show. We want to welcome everyone to the first show. And I just want to let everyone know that this new show is going to be airing every Saturday, once a week. So you can join us
Every
on
Saturday,
Huddle
once a
Premium,
week.
and it will also be on
Alright, here we
the
go.
secure server. For those people that are members of the secure server, you'll also see the show on there,
Come on, turn
and you
on.
can get it on Rebel Premium. I am Mr. X, and I have Mrs. X with me.
Hi, everyone.
So, the first topic, we're going to be talking about the shooter. And
I
I
control
mentioned
that
this on
was
my report,
super
X22 report. And the shooter is very, very interesting because this guy, he drove from Vegas with his weapons all the way to New York City
That was
with a
weird.
note in his pocket.
Alright, here we go.
And he went to the wrong floor. And of course, the cover story is that he was very upset with the NFL, but he went to the wrong floor and shot up certain individuals on that floor that happened to work for Blackstone.
I mean, I have a lot of issues with this story because I feel like it's also so similar to every other shooter story. I mean, the fact that he got in his car, and it's not a quick ride.
I made
You
some
drive
weird
all the way
looking
from
chicks.
Vegas, all the way to New York City, and by the way, walks down the streets of New York City in broad daylight. It still was light out. It's summertime with a semi-automatic weapon. Gets in, bulletproof vest. Gets on
don't know
the
what I
wrong,
just did.
Gets off on the
If
wrong.
you're not
floor when
familiar
he's
with
so
the
upset
basics
with the NFL, and that didn't even make
of the
sense.
game
Too. How
yet,
did he
we
get up in the
recommend
elevator?
taking the guy
Like, how
to
did he
a-
even get up there?
Well, what's very interesting is that when he walked into the building, the security
You know
guards,
the
first of all, they had no
basics.
weapons whatsoever.
I'm
And
assuming
there is
I'm on
a
my
security
farm.
team monitoring the
Okay, I got
cameras.
that
And they do have
piece,
protocols
that
in
piece.
place to shut everything down.
This must
and
be my
yes, it might have
house.
happened very, very quickly, but
What's up, Bob?
the individuals
conversation?
that have been watching
What's
the
up, kiddo?
incident, they
Hey,
should have hit the button that actually
can I
shut
help
down
you
the
with
elevators. I
something?
do believe they bring them down to the first floor and you can't really operate them. Or even if the guy got onto the elevators and he started to go up
Sure.
because he went to the 33rd floor.
Okay.
They could have
let's
shut it
see.
down and they could have brought the
Let me
elevators
ask
back down.
What do you
Because
think
we
of
don't know how many
today's
stops
ever
the
advancing
elevator
modern
was going to
machines
make on the way
and
up,
what they can
because
do
when
today?
did people record
Oh
the
my
elevator?
For
gosh.
comparison,
Right. Well, and
you
also,
might
I mean, don't they
remember
have
our
these kind
somewhat
of protocols in
mature
place for these scenarios? Like they have all these like safety standards and for this scenario. I mean, you have training for these things. I
Open
mean, that's
Ward
what
Hill.
security's for. Otherwise, what's the point of all of this? I don't. And then the fact that, okay, so he has a bulletproof vest. So obviously he was protecting himself, but then ended up killing himself. Like, why is it that they're always kill themselves or they're shot and then you can never question them or ask? It just too many questions, too many similarities, and it just something doesn't add up.
Well, I think the reason why they always end up killing themselves is because I believe that they are controlled by certain entities that actually take the mentally ill or people that are on drugs, because it's a lot easier to control those people that are on medication, and do things that they normally wouldn't do. And that's why a lot of these people that take the SSRIs, they hear voices in their heads, and I do believe that this is part of the intelligence agencies, or those people that used to be part of the intelligence agencies. They actually use these people for certain agendas. And then, of course, what happens after that is the fake news plays it up. They use it for gun control. They use it for other agendas. And again, they thought this guy was a white person. I mean, that's what CNN reported. They said possibly white. Of course, everyone saw the picture and said, how did the news reporter even think that this person was actually white? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Not at all.
No, and normally when it's not a white person, they just drop the story. But this one they kept going with, which is very, very interesting, which I do believe the reason why they kept going with it is they try to use it as a distraction from
Right.
what was coming out, like the Russian
With
collusion.
Russia,
yeah.
Russia, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Why do I have
Well, and I
black
feel like
toes?
that's typical of these shooter stories, that
they
it's always
dirty?
the same MO. And also, did you say the building's BlackRock, right? And isn't BlackRock
Yes.
that whole, right?
Investment, they invest in real estate. They are involved in many, many different things.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I feel like if you connect the dots, it really it just makes sense that, you know, this was definitely a distraction. It was just another one of these stories, and I feel like they're all so similar because I feel like
Crocs.
even
Oh
in
my
this day and
gosh.
age, who writes a note and carries it in their pocket? I mean, it just really makes no sense. And the bottom line is, it's unfortunate how people get used. It's unfortunate that a police officer passed, that, you know, that people were shot in this, and it's a terrible, terrible thing. And it's
Yeah, I
very
like
scary that you
that.
can't feel safe in your city. It's a scary thing.
Well, can you imagine if the people in the lobby, even the security guards, can you imagine if they had weapons? I think this guy would have been stopped at that point. Yes, there might have been a shootout. People might have been injured, but you wouldn't have all the people, killed the way we see it today. I mean, look what happened in Michigan
Yeah.
with that individual that had a concealed carry that actually pulled it out and stopped the guy from stabbing people. Now, what would happen if he didn't have the concealed carry?
You're right. I mean, and honestly, he's a veteran also, which is
Yes.
amazing. It's amazing part of the story. And what was neat about that, in the sense that what I like to see was people coming together, like supporting him, the veteran who was trying to take down the guy who went on the stabbing spree, and that there were other men who joined him to kind of gang up on this guy and say, no, you're not walking around the Walmart stabbing people, until law enforcement got there. But it was scary, and I think you're right. It would have been much, much worse if these gentlemen did not take matters into their hands and say, no, you're not going to hurt people. This is not okay. This is not okay in our community. It's not acceptable. And I think that's what keeps happening, is that the boundaries keep getting pushed, and people are getting to the point where it's like, enough is enough. I want my community
this is a
back. I
cool
want to feel
camera
safe
view.
going out shopping with my family at the Walmart
That's
on the
sweet.
weekend. Like, what is, it's crazy to think that you're not safe in your own backyard,
Yeah, and also,
Alright, let's
this
see what
is
else we got.
real men do. They protect.
Nothing's sweet.
I think this is what the establishment for a very long time.
We got some
they
nice
do
stuff.
Not want people to know what real men actually are. They don't want anyone to know what real women actually are, and I think this is why they started the movement of saying, "Hey, here's a guy, he could dress up as a woman
Mhm.
and pretend to be a woman. And they tried to pass this off as this is normal
Right.
and this is all women should just, bow to this. And a
Alright,
lot
what
of these
do I own and
individuals,
what do they
they
own?
don't act like women. I
No.
mean, it's a man dressed with a wig. They put on makeup and they think they're a woman. They have no idea what a woman actually is.
Well, it feels like a parody to me. It feels like you're being made fun of when I see some of this that's going on, I mean, look, whatever you want to do in your own life, have at it. I don't really care if you want to dress like a woman and whatever. But then when it started to become to the point where you're coming into women's spaces and women's bathrooms and women's sports and women's competitions and basically trying to make it like women should just be okay with this and bow down to it and, not you work so hard to say be in your sport. Like, you look at Riley Gaines, for example, and I have to say I give her a lot of credit because she was one of the first people that really stood up. I feel like where were the other women? Or the other women in sports in particular, you work so hard to get where you are. And then to have a guy come and say that he's now a woman because he couldn't cut it in men's swimming and then beat her, and actually not by much, which was impressive on her part. But at the same time, that she had to feel like all your hard work, all your practices, all your sacrifices you make to be competing at that level, and then to have a guy come in and swoop that away from you. And I think it's nice to see that. I think she was kind of the spearhead of that, but to see other women now, like they're like, nope, I'm not competing in that. I'm not doing that. And it's nice to have a president that is behind women in sports and is saying, no, this is not okay. And if the universities aren't going along with it, there's going to be consequences for that. And I think that's just been a part of this whole thing with weakening our population, weakening our men, weakening our women. So you don't say anything and you just kind of go along with it. And I think that's a serious problem that has been happening over the past few years. It's like, no, you're not allowed to speak up. And if you do, you're going to get doxxed. You're going to get, you're going to get banned. You're going to,
And I find it very interesting that, during Trump's first presidency, you had all the women out there, protesting in front of the Capitol,
yes,
the White House.
in vagina costumes,
yes,
honestly.
That is true. And when this happened with men going on to women's sports,
Yeah.
where were all those women? Where,
I don't
where
know.
were the women?
What do you mean? They were asking certain individuals what to define what a woman is. I mean, you had a judge sitting there, and they could not tell you what a woman is. That blew my mind. That they're like, oh, all of a sudden you don't know what a woman is, and I don't understand that at all. I don't understand how we got so off the rails. Which actually, I guess, can kind of bring us to our next topic because I feel like everyone's talking about it. So how do we not talk about it? But the jeans ad with Sydney Sweeney. So let's go there with American Eagle. What are I think the reaction to it has been kind of mind blowing. And
Well, what do you think? What do you think is mind blowing about it?
I think it's amazing. I think it's great to see us going back to celebrating women, what makes us women, being feminine, looking good in your jeans. I love the play on words. I think people are reading way too much into it with this whole Nazism. I think that's a stretch. And I think when I read articles about it and that they're interviewing college professors about it, well, this rhetoric, and I'm like, well, first of all half these professors, they're all of that woke mindset and whatever. That's where they're at. But I think it's just a jeans ad. And I think that we've gotten away from some of these ads that I thought were off-putting for me. And I feel like now we're celebrating women again. And I think that it's a good thing. And I think this cancel culture that was like, oh, they're outraged. I think it's ridiculous. I think there's nothing wrong. She's a beautiful young woman. She's promoting jeans, which are classic Americana. She's like, the ads are incredible. And I think that it's kind of, I find it amusing actually that people are outraged by it because I'm like, are you kidding me right now? We actually finally are celebrating what it means to be a woman again, an American woman in her jeans, rocking that and, and celebrating her jeans. And and it's just, I think it's amusing that everyone's outraged, like that people are outraged by it, not everyone.
Well, I mean, who are the people that are outraged? The far left people?
Yes,
the people
exactly.
with the nose rings, purple hair,
Yes.
the Karens.
Out of shape, like that they're
Yes.
jealous. They're like, oh wow, she actually has real boobs. It's not from, taking hormones or whatever else you're doing. I mean, if that's what you want to do, but I think that they tried to make it that was the whole population, and that's not the whole population.
No, it's a very small part of the population. But I think what's happening right now is that these people, you have to remember, go back in time when Obama first came into office. This is when the big push actually really happened, where they were shifting everything, and they were bringing in the LGBTQ, they were bringing in the trans movement,
Alright, where
and
the
they
heck?
were empowering them. Now, again, these individuals, they're also involved in Antifa.
Where's my
Andy Ngo
attachment?
reports on this many, many times on X and many other places. And he's a gay man. And he says a lot of the people within Antifa are trans people, and he calls them trans-tifa. And these people, they have anger issues. And I think what they did was to empower them. They kept telling them that you're a protected class, that
I'd open all these doors.
a group of people that
I'm gonna start
we will make sure that nothing
harvesting.
happens to you.
Open
And
gate.
they started to put them in all different positions. They put them in government. They had him in Biden's office, his administration. They put him in government. They put him in a lot of the corporations because of DEI. They brought these people in. They started to work on marketing campaigns.
Right.
And I think this is when you started to see everything change, because then you started to see the killing of
Oh, yeah.
who was doing Bud
Oh,
Light.
there it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Of course, that was a complete and utter flop, and
Found it.
all of a sudden sales went down. The marketing person was removed
Yeah.
because it completely failed. So I think these people, they thought they were protected, and they thought, oh look, we're now calling the shots. Remember, these people, they're losers. A lot of them are losers. We're calling the shots. We're protected, and they even wanted laws where they would say, listen, if you don't use my pronouns, you could be arrested, you could be fired, you can.
Right.
And they thought they had power.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you were in like a whole heap of trouble if you
Oh, what the heck?
misgendered somebody or, used the wrong pronoun. I mean, people were making viral videos if they were at a restaurant and a waiter or waitress called them sir or ma'am, and it was not the one that they wanted, and it was like all hell broke loose. And, and it just was like, what is happening right now? The whole world just started to not make any sense, and for me, I think I love this ad because I think it's making the world make sense again. Like, I don't,
Well, I think this is why they're so angry, because now with this ad, and you're going to see more ads like this, when the companies now are doing really well,
I
and
should
the
be able to
sales are
pull
taking
that
off,
thing.
they're losing their grip, and they're very, very angry about this.
well, the jeans are sold out.
Yeah.
Do I have to go back
And
there
what's
and
funny
hook
is,
it
we
up?
were discussing this before, is that Sydney Sweeney, she's not the only person with, blue-eyed blonde hair
No.
that pushed jeans. I mean, we've
No.
had this in the past.
Yeah. I mean, Brooke Shields was Calvin Klein years ago. Gorgeous, stunning, beautiful, long hair.
Saving
I don't think
content.
her eyes are blue, but it doesn't matter. But she
Yeah, it
looked
doesn't really
stunning. She was in shape. And then you also had, and Anna Nicole Smith was for Guess for many years. Yes, she was a curvier model, but also blonde hair, gorgeous. You had Marky Mark, the epitome of health, when he did his Calvin Klein ad years and years ago. And I think what happens, we just got so far away from it. Like, we all forgot that, Cindy Crawford, she was also, like, when she did her Pepsi commercial years ago. And that actually was so iconic. They just remade it recently, I think for the Super Bowl, I want to say. Like, maybe the last
Yeah, I
Super
think so.
Bowl. And, and I think we all just kind of forgot. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you look back on commercials when we were kids, like, it was very different than it is now, and I think everyone kind of forgot. And
Oh,
we got
pressure washer
complacent
so we
as a
clean our
society. I mean,
stuff.
you and I have talked about this many times, is that part of what we're going
Alright, why
through,
can't I hook
these
up?
growing pains, and with President Trump getting us back on track and steering the ship in that direction, is that we all got complacent at the wheel, and we didn't realize that our Constitution,
Okay, it's
our
owned by
constitutional
me.
rights are being
Why can't we
manipulated
hook
and
it
whatever,
up?
and and so forth, and here we are, and this is the backlash of that, and I think we're coming out of that time, and I think that's why President Trump keeps referring to a golden age that we're headed into, because I think he's reminding us about our Constitution. He's reminding us what makes America great. He's reminding us what brought us to where we are to be the greatest country in the world. And I think that's an amazing thing, and I like seeing us headed in this direction. It's a wonderful thing.
Well, when you say we were getting complacent, I mean, it wasn't just that, everyone was going about their business and they were distracted by many things, but it also has to do with food. It also has to do with exercise. It also has to do with education. I think I come to be state players. Everyone knows this. I think what was happening is they were changing the entire culture and the way we learn, and
Can I hook it
trying
up
to
with this?
bring up each generation in a way with what they wanted. So they would educate the young children, and they said, you know what, you don't need gym, you don't need to, exercise, you don't need any of this, and we're going to teach you not about the Constitution, we're going to teach you about wokeism, we're going to teach you about all these different things. And it started in elementary school. It went to middle school, to high school, and then the colleges. They're just a complete and utter mess because, again, this is like the topping on the cake right there, where brainwashing is complete. And this is why Trump is now shutting down the wokeism in all the colleges. But and like you said, Trump now is reversing all of this and bringing us back to our roots, which I think is very, very important.
Well, when
Is
you're
this just
saying
a
with the fitness thing,
glitch?
it brings up another thing I wanted to talk about, which is he's bringing back the presidential fitness test, and I think this is a huge one on so many levels, because I think you're completely right in what we're saying. It wasn't just that the deep state players infiltrated businesses and corporations in this. It's been on every level of our society for many years. It doesn't just happen overnight. It didn't just happen when Obama came on the scene. I mean, yes, he's a big part of the problem, as we know, but this has been going on for quite some time because they wanted to make this cultural shift for us and kind of make us forget what it is to be an American. And I think the presidential fitness test is so important because, you and I have talked about this. We moved to Florida when our children were in elementary school, and they had gym class. But once they got to middle school, you didn't have to take gym class anymore. Now, meanwhile, I'm from New York originally. You took gym until you were a senior in high school. I mean, you might have dreaded it. I mean, no one wanted to take some of the gym classes, but we all did it. We all had to do it. And it was part of your graduation requirement. And so to me, actually, when I have my own children, it bothered me that the kids didn't have gym class, because then it wasn't prioritizing that for them. It was like all academic, all this, and then you didn't have any downtime. And I think it also, it was a detriment to our children if you weren't being an active person. Because I remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but the presidential fitness test, I dreaded it, but looking back, it was probably a good thing. Like, you had to do, well, they called them squat thrusts, but they're really burpees, but now we call them burpees, but you had to do like 50 in a certain amount of time. You had to write it down on the card. It was so stressful. You had to do like the sit-ups where your partner were holding your feet, and it was super intense. And you had to make that work, and it was a part of your gym class. And I think that it's so important right now that President Trump is bringing this back. When you look back at the roots of like RFK, when he originally brought the presidential fitness test in,
can I hook up
President
to
Trump
it?
is bringing in all of these athletes that are
Like
going to be a part of
normal?
it. And I love that they didn't just say about the physical part; they're talking about the nutrition, because this is another point where I feel like they've tried to weaken us as a population, as a society, with the food. You and I can go on for
Why
days
can't I
about
tell
food and how
it?
they've corrupted our food and what our children consider food, or and we got away from real food. And I think that what
Stupid.
President Trump is doing on every level it's all good things for our children and our grandchildren and beyond.
But I think the way President Trump is handling it right now, he's a marketer, he's a promoter. And he's not just saying, hey, you know what, let's do a couple of sit-ups, let's do a couple of push-ups. What is he actually doing? He's working with certain individuals.
Yes, he's working with golfers. I don't know all of their names. I don't follow golf like President Trump, obviously, but he's working with the CEO of the WWE, or CEO of that. I forgot what his name is. Triple H, maybe. Forgive me if I got that wrong. But I think it's great that you're getting all different athletes from all different sports, and also how they're all also talking about the nutrition, because they know as an athlete, it's not just about the physical, it's also about fueling your body so that you feel good and you want to do things. And not that we all have to be a professional athlete, but just to take care of your body. Like, I think we've gotten so far away from that, as a culture. Like, you look around and, America's in trouble. Like, if we don't follow in this, like, it was not looking good. Like, people have trouble, like, we just traveled recently. People have trouble pulling their luggage through the airport, and that shouldn't be. We should do better for ourselves, And I think it's great that he's spearheading this movement, and He's getting so many athletes involved and it's making it more high profile. Like you said, he's a brilliant marketer. And I think that's going to be important for kids to see, like, you know, like your role models, like this is what they do. There's discipline involved with being an athlete at that level. And, you know, and maybe it'll inspire some kids too. Like, you don't just have to go to college. Maybe you want to be a professional athlete. You know, maybe you want to pursue different things. I don't think that it all has to be just like, oh, I go to high school, then I go to college, and then I get a job. Like, I think we all need to dream bigger dreams sometimes. And I think President Trump focusing on that is not
Well, he does have to reverse everything that they did in a very, very short period of time. I mean, they've taken many years to brainwash and to reverse what America once was, and now he's reversing it very, very quickly. And those people that were involved in this,
Alright, I'm doing something. Right? We should probably just hire a worker. What's he gonna do? Line up properly?
They're not going to see a lot of this because
Alright,
again,
we got a
the
worker.
fake news, they
He knows what he's doing.
report on the treasonous acts of Obama.
Alright,
Clinton,
we're doing
and the
something.
rest, because if they do report,
Probably
on
should go get a
what they're gonna say,
tractor.
"Oh, we knew about it." I mean,
And a
they were
trailer.
involved in it. So he to basically take back this country, I think we need to.
Be
have
nice to get rid of this thing.
and we need to show the American people who's responsible for all of this and who's
Oh,
responsible
it finally said I could
for
grab it.
destroying this country. And I think it's going to take a little while for the bees to come on board. I think more and more every day are coming on board, but this is a slow process of educating the people of what actually happened in the past.
Well, I think it's very hard for people, and I'm going to be honest, because I know what my own journey has been with all of this and realizing things. I think it's very hard
Alright,
to wrap your
leave me
brain
over
around the
there.
fact that you realize you've been lied to your whole life, or what you thought to be true is actually not true, or to understand when you really look at these people and the things that they've done is that it's not just like one organization. It's not just like, oh, it was the DOJ, oh, it was the FBI, oh, it was the CIA, like, you know, oh, conspiracy theory and this, that. It's then you're realizing, especially with everything that's coming out in the last few weeks with the Russia, and all of it, that you realize that there was infiltration, not in just one government organization, in several, and a lot of people were involved in it. A lot of people were part of the cover-up. There's still people, you see, you know, if you follow James O'Keefe's work, you see his undercover dates that, you know, these reporters go on with these guys and girls that are like, oh yeah, I know all about that, and they're working to, like, you know, reverse things or to kind of mess up things that the president has in place or he's working on. And I feel like the infiltration's still there, and I think we're still cleaning up the mess, but I think it's very hard for people to understand that level of evil, that level of deceit, that level of, my own government couldn't be betraying me. Like, I mean, I can't believe how many people were mad about Elon auditing the government. Like, you don't want to know where your taxpayer dollars are going? I don't understand why. I mean, when you have a household budget, you know, you want to know where your money is going. Okay, this money goes to rent, this money goes to my mortgage, this money goes to insurance, my car payment, my food money. Why wouldn't you want to know where all your taxes are going and be accountable for that? And you realize that there's been a lot of mess there. There's been a lot of inconsistencies. There's been a lot of, can we explain this? And when you listen and watch these people talking about it, you realize that it's on every level. And I think that's very hard for people to wrap their brain around, because people don't want to believe that their own government has been deceiving them, and they don't want to realize that their whole way of thinking is challenge them, because it's like, wait, everything I knew to be true is a lie. And I think that's a hard one for people.
Well, why do you think it's? Why do you think it's hard for people to wrap their brains around that maybe everything that they've known is not real?
Because I think people want to be right. I think their ego, that they're like, no, I know what I know. I mean, if you ever watch when people argue with a liberal or a Democrat even, and you see people like, you know, you're at these protests, or you're at like the No Kings thing, you're like, well, why are you protesting? And then you call them on a fact that President Trump's, I'm trying to give a concrete example, but when you ask them or you challenge or you try to have a debate with them, you ask them a question about why they feel this way or why whatever. Well, what about this? And they just stomp off and walk away. So when did debate go out the window? Like, I remember growing up, like, you would have debates. You would say, I might not agree with you, but let's talk about it. Let's argue about it. Let me try to see it from your point of view. They don't even do that. They scream, yell, shout in your face, curse. I've seen some of them spit on people. It's disgusting. And because they just want to be right so badly and so, like, entitled to their... They
It
just
sounds pretty cool.
And they're just closed off to the conversation. Like, they're not even open to having some kind of a discussion. I mean, we've seen in our own life, we have people that have cut us out of their lives because they're like, I just can't, because you think too differently.
Whoa.
And I just feel like that's a shift. I feel like
Talk
I've
about
seen
crazy
that
turning.
wasn't there when I was younger. Like, I don't remember that when I was younger, even in high school when you would have like debate club or you would, or even when I was in my early 20s, I don't remember even having political conversations with my friends where we wouldn't speak to each other because we would be like, oh, who are you voting for? Like, now it's people can't associate. They're like, oh, how could you be a MAGA person or how could you like that guy, and I don't know why it is so hard for people. I personally think it is hard for people because they don't want to believe that everything they're taught or everything they believe is true. Like, it's like challenging their entire belief system. It's like you believe in God and you say there is no God and then you look at everything. Whatever it is. I don't know. It just seems like people that I've spoken to here and there, it's like, no, the whole world can't be in on it. No, it can't be that everyone, like the whole government is corrupt. There's no way. And I feel like there is a way, actually. It's been very easy, actually. I mean, look at, Cash Patel just finding documents in burn bags hidden in the FBI building. How is that even a possibility? I feel like we're living in a Jason Bourne movie. It's insane, but it's true.
Well, I think I wouldn't be surprised if there were certain FBI agents that were actually protecting them.
I'm sure there were, because there are good people.
Yeah, and I do believe there's a lot of people who are bad.
Yes.
And I think they were probably hiding it from
Yes.
the establishment, making sure that this isn't destroyed.
Well, I think a lot of these whistleblowers, I think they bided their time, and now they're finally feeling like safe enough to come forward. I mean, a few did before, but some. And I think that these people know.
I'm playing Yoda.
Like, and
Harvesting away.
Like, okay, the time's coming, and
Got me
now
some
it's time to
canola.
talk about it, because I agree with you. There are more good people than bad, but I think sometimes people kind of go along with the establishment because it's just safer at that point. Because look at it, I mean, Biden. That's what I'm saying. I think Biden's administration, I think that they threatened people for sure.
Yeah,
There's no doubt.
I think Obama, I think
Hillary.
Biden, Hillary, I think they were all involved in threatening. As you can see today, the evidence is coming out that the plan to get Trump was driven by Obama,
Yes.
Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
And they're the ones who created the entire Russian collusion hoax.
Okay, do you really think it's an accident that both Obama and Hillary's chefs were murdered or killed or what? I mean, whatever.
I think they were murdered.
It's interesting.
Well, you have to
I'm
remember
just
the
saying.
chefs.
No,
with
it
them
was
all
not
the
an
time. They
accident.
see
Yes.
what's going on in there. I mean, especially with the Obamas, I'm sure they had
God
certain
only knows.
individuals brought into their home where, again, certain things happen. And of course, if this ever got out,
Of course.
so you have to get rid of those people that saw what was going on in the home.
Well,
was-
these are the people you're dealing with. They're morally questionable people. These people have no moral compass, and I think that's been the problem. And I think you're right. I think that's why sometimes I think when you saw certain individuals who you thought were going to make a difference, and then you were like,
I don't
wow,
know,
they
it's gonna
changed
go
their
that
tune,
way.
because I do believe that they were threatened. And I think the one very strong thing about President Trump's presidency now is he has really good people in good positions. And I think that, he's able to make a difference this
That's the
time. because
farthest
he has
you
a really
can
strong team. Even though they're still
zoom out.
fighting this internal stuff and still weeding out the bad people, I think
Technically,
he's
you
in a much
can hang
stronger
out
position than
front.
he was first.
Just
I think you
watch
see a very
away.
big difference between his term from 2016 to 2020 from now when he just got into office.
I think so. I think there's a huge difference. I think personally, just because, and obviously this is probably because I'm married to you and we talk about this stuff all the time, but I think that his first administration, I think he was actually doing a lot behind the scenes, and we didn't realize it. Maybe you did, because I feel like you always seem to study him and understand
So
what
far,
he's been
pretty
doing
cool.
and the groundwork he was laying. And I think people thought that he wasn't doing much in 2016. I think he was doing a ton, but I think it was behind the scenes paving the way for what's going on now.
I can at least tell Yoda I got it.
It's kind of interesting to me because I feel like so many great things have been happening, but then I know people even in the Republican Party are frustrated because they feel like it's not happening fast enough, like the whole Epstein files thing. And I was like, I think that the time is coming for it. I think it will be coming. But if you look at all the positive things he has done since he walked in the door in January, just even with the trade deals and the tariffs and getting rid of a lot of these ridiculous executive orders that Biden had in place, and just empowering women again, and bringing back the Title IX and all of those things, I think there's more good than not. And I feel like everyone was obsessing a little too much about the Epstein
Fills up
files
pretty
if he
quick.
wasn't
We're at
following through on
15%
something. I think
already.
it's coming. I think that it's only been since January. If you think about how much he's accomplished, I mean, as it is, they're trying to hold up some of his appointments. It's not like it's been smooth sailing. Yes, he's in a better position than he was in 2016, but it also they've still been trying to hold him up. Look at the judges and what they've been trying to do. So I think that he laid very strong groundwork in 2016, and I think that he's doing a phenomenal job. And I think that I think we all have to give him a little bit of grace too. I think Epstein is coming. I just think maybe it's not the time quite yet.
Well, I think Epstein, when you look back in time, the D's never mentioned it. The fake news, they never mentioned it.
Nope.
As soon as he came into office, all of a sudden, everyone was out there mentioning Epstein. We got to get the Epstein. And I think this is what he does. He uses the art of the deal. He creates chaos.
Yes.
And think about it. It's almost like when they were going after him, and they kept saying nobody's above the law.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept repeating that. And
Over and over.
Well, he wanted them to do this because he knew when he went after them, he would be able to use this against them. Because this way, people can go back in time and say, listen, even Obama said it, nobody's above the law, even the president.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
It's definitely going to be fun
what's
playing.
happening with Epstein, I think they try to push fake information
Yoda.
that they created. They knew that the Russian collusion hoax was going to be brought out into the open. They were trying to distract with Epstein. Trump knew it was a trap. So he used it to his advantage, where he had the fake news.
What's this
He had
thing?
the D's. He had all these people calling for the
Oh, this is
Epstein
where I
files.
can
This is
dump
what
my
he did
stuff.
Later,
Where I
he
can
gets
dump my
told
load.
about incredible Epstein files. I think what's going to happen is when that information comes out, he's going to say,
We'll take a ride into town.
remember, we had
Wow.
fake news calling for it.
Wait,
We had
that
Adam
deer?
Schiff calling for it. We had Hillary Clinton calling for it. Everyone wanted the Epstein files.
Yep.
Come on, deer.
Durbin, Elizabeth,
Can I
Warren,
shoot
you
the
name it.
deer?
They were all calling for the Epstein files. So here they are. Oh wait, it's not the ones you wanted? No, these are the real ones. This is from the grand jury. And if you notice, the Obama appointed judges, one in Florida, one in New York. The one in Florida says, I'm not releasing the grand jury information, which is who's blocking the Epstein information. Oh, it's the judge.
Isn't that an obstruction of justice? But whatever.
No way
Well,
I'm
again,
doing that
the
fast
judges
already.
can do what they want. They can make their case, and of course later on we'll find out why they would want that out there.
He's probably on Epstein Island. But anyway.
Probably.
It's
The
getting
one
wild
New
in
York,
here.
they asked the Department of Justice for more information, and I do believe what's going to happen is they're probably going to rule like, oh, I got the information. It's not what we want, and it doesn't adhere to the ruling and whatever law they're going to use, and they're going to say we can't release it. And I think what's going to happen is Trump and team,
heck are
they're
we
going to
even
say,
going?
listen, we're trying to get the credible information, but Obama's judges, they're blocking everything.
Saving
And I think
content.
later on they're going to use the continuous repeating of Epstein files.
Oh, the
Epstein
shop's
files. They're
right
gonna use it
there.
against them because everyone's going to go back in time
Wait,
and play
come on.
back every single time these people said
There's a
the
shop.
Epstein files must
Oh,
be
if I
released.
just
And
go
I think
straight
the Epstein list
down on the
is
right.
not
Perfect.
the list that they have. They created a different list. I think Trump has known these people for a very long time. He's already thrown out names: Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, And they're
Graphics
bringing in
are
other
a little
people.
hiccupy.
I do believe that he has a listing
Ooh,
claim as
traffic's
well.
on.
Also will probably corroborate a lot of what Trump is saying. So I think there is going to be a list, but it's not going to be the list from the list that the D's and the deep state players have made up. I think it's going to be
I think I'm supposed to still
real
stay
list
straight.
of those people that actually visited
With the shops over
Epstein
there.
Island. I think they're going to use it once people understand who the players are who are treasonous to this country. And it's not just Obama, Hillary, Brennan, Clapper, Susan Rice, Adam Schiff. This goes into the fake news. It goes into the CEOs of corporations. This goes way beyond what everyone really thinks is actually happening with treason. And I think the Russian collusion thing is just the first part of all this.
Well, do you think this is some of the documentation that they were looking for when they raided Mar-a-Lago? Because when you think about, I don't know if it was Epstein, I'm trying to think when that was timeline-wise, or were they just looking for just in general? Did
No,
he
I think
Russia?
they were looking for the Crossfire Hurricane documents in Mar-a-Lago. This is everything that implicates Obama, Hillary, everything that's coming out now. They thought Trump took it to Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
But I think what he did, he declassified everything, and there was nothing that was in Mar-a-Lago. And
let's go
they looked
shopping.
for it. They tried to find it, and I think they already knew that because, again, the National Archives,
We
they
stick
knew
with
exactly what
brands.
Trump had.
Right.
Now, of course, I think they thought he took other things and he was hiding it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they
Well,
already,
that's because that's what they would do.
Yes.
But anyway,
yeah, they project what they do onto Trump all the time.
absolutely. I think they always underestimate him. I think that's one of the most brilliant things about President Trump and where this is all unfolded is I think that, you just see how they try to get him all the time with their nonsense. And I feel like they just can't even do it. I feel like they try to
think I
figure
need a
him
new
out. And the more they
truck.
try to figure
Ooh,
him out,
look
the
at that
worse it gets.
international.
I agree with that. And I think this is just the beginning
nice.
part of just educating the public on all of this. And I think eventually there's going to be accountability. There's
Electric.
going to be retribution. And I know people want
Big
it now.
ol'
I know
Mac,
people are like, hey,
Superliner.
how come we aren't arresting people? But I don't think we have the
This
ability
thing's pretty
to
sexy.
try these people in
Day
a
cab.
court that follows the rule of law.
No, because look at how many corrupt judges. Look at how they're trying to stop them with the tariffs, and then they were really
Wheel
overstepping
setup.
their jurisdiction, in my opinion. I mean, actually, not even in my opinion. If you go back and read the Constitution and the different branches of government and what they do, I highly recommend everyone go back
long.
and read the actual Constitution, not like what ChatGPT or whatever but like really get a copy of the Constitution. You can buy it on Amazon.
Not much of a
and
change
really
in
read
design.
it because we probably haven't all read it since we were in high
Sun
school.
shield.
And I think it's so important
Yes.
because there are definite powers within
Horn,
each branch
yeah.
of the government. And if you look at President Trump and what he's doing, I know everyone wants to say no King Day and the whole, and he's a dictator and this,
Yeah,
that.
we need all the
He's
lights.
actually following the Constitution
Beige,
and he's upholding our
brown.
Constitution and he's following those rules
Ooh,
because
black.
that's what we
Black's
what we
pretty
voted
sexy.
for when we voted him into office in November. And I highly recommend everyone read it and read the different branches of government. And I'm telling you right now, the judicial branch,
Black and
with
red.
these corrupt judges that are in place, they're out of control with what they think that they are doing right now.
Well, like he said, if he was
Like it.
king, he wouldn't have all
Let's
these
buy
judges
it.
stopping him. He would just
Exactly.
dictate
You wouldn't
and
care.
say, right, this is what I'm doing. So I really don't need to hear from you. Since he's
All right, combinations.
following
Right
what
trigger.
they're saying and then
Let's see what we
fighting
got
them
for
on what they're
trailers.
saying and bringing it up to the Supreme Court, that shows you he's actually following the Constitution and he's following the rule of law, showing everyone that he's not a king because he's doing the opposite of what a king would do.
Right. Well, he's going in the founding fathers' footsteps, which they were the ones who were like,
Oh,
we
holds
don't
the
want a
most.
king. I mean, that was the whole
This
point
bad boy holds
of the
the
revolution
most,
and the
but
Constitution was we did not want to live under the rule of a king. And President Trump knows this.
I
If
think
you
I'll
look at
stick
the
with
Oval
this. It
Office
holds
now and
most
you
of
see the
every
paintings
kind.
he has hung in the Oval Office, look at which presidents he put up there, which founding fathers.
change
There's
the
some
rim
founding
color
fathers
and
who were
that's
also
it.
presidents. And it's very interesting to me. And to me, I think he holds that very dear. There's a reason the Declaration of Independence is now, isn't it? The Declaration of Independence he
Yes.
put in the Oval Office. And yes,
Yes.
it's behind a curtain because it get, it has to be protected. But he said this has been like locked up somewhere, and he's happy to have it and proud to have it in the Oval
Keep
Office.
it
And I think
chrome.
it's a reminder about where America started, why America started. And I think that, like I said, I think
Okay, it's
I
all ours.
personally think, and I've said this to you many
Go
times
fetch
when
it.
I see different things, when I saw him campaigning, that he reminded everyone what it means to be a proud American. Like this woke culture nonsense was trying to make us
It's a
like
tight setup.
hate America, not want to wave our flag proudly, not be proud of our country, not be proud of our Constitution. America is the greatest country in the world, and President Trump is reminding us what that means, and he's also making us live up to those standards again that we started in the first place. And that's why we are the greatest country in the world. And I think we're getting back on that track, and I think that's a good thing.
Well, I find it very interesting that they're saying, he's a king and a dictator, but he has the Declaration of Independence in his office. That was
It's a sweet setup.
war against a king, and that signifies that we didn't want kings. That was
Okay,
the
we'll
official
activate the
holiday. Now
worker.
it's official
Where are we
holiday
bringing him?
where we say no kings.
Well, I'm telling you
I
when it's
wanna
no
get 'em
kings.
back to
It's
the
called
farm.
July 4th.
Yeah,
That's
what
our
it
no
is.
king day, is our Independence Day, because we did not want to be under the rule of a king. So to me,
Our farm's over here.
the fake news can go all day long about whatever about him. I don't believe that to be true. His actions do not match what they say, and they can splice and say things and the headlines and whatever. It's all fake BS.
I agree with that, and I think for closure in this country, because this is why the people voted for Trump. This is why he got the mandate, and this is why we were able to basically override their cheating system in 2024, because the people, they saw the Biden administration, and it wasn't Biden, it was Obama and many others in
yeah.
the background that were running the country. They saw how
Go
it was
to.
destroying the country, and he knew that the people, once they experienced it, once they saw it, we would have enough power to override the rigged election system. And I've said this many times before. I do believe that the same people that pushed the Russian collusion, remember, this grand conspiracy has not ended.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2016, they thought that they had him in 2016.
Yes.
Because what they did was, and I don't know if you remember this, when Hillary Clinton was out there, Nancy Pelosi was out there, Obama was out there, they were all making jokes that he would never, ever be president.
Yep.
Nope, that's never going to happen.
I remember
because
that.
they had their cheating system in place. And remember, Hillary won the popular vote by 3 million.
Yep.
And of course, it's 3 million illegals.
Yep.
3 million that those votes were illegally cast. But they thought they had their cheating system in place, and there was no way in the world that he was going to get enough popular votes to win the election. But they never counted on the Electoral College.
Because again, he follows the Constitution. They don't know about the Constitution because they don't follow it.
Yeah. So that was I think the second time they tried to overthrow
Right.
the United States government. The first time, if we go all the way back to 2008, I think that was Obama. I
Right,
think
he's
Obama
gone.
overthrew the United States government. I still believe, and I think Trump, when he was a citizen.
What's the inside of this bad boy look like?
Obama said
Look at
he's
that
not a
thing.
citizen. Where's your birth
Got our
certificate?
CB,
And if you notice,
fully set up.
now that
Radio.
Obama is finishing his presidential library, which is the ugliest building I've ever seen.
It's
It looks like a garbage can.
It's terrible.
Flipping the cab over.
He is the only president in history
Just got passed.
where he is not using NARA to basically hold his documents, to protect the documents. He's using a private company to protect his documents. And the question we have to now ask is, why is that unless you're hiding something?
Let me tell you, I remember President Trump, like you said, when he was a private citizen, and he was on The View, no less, which, yes, way back in the day, I admit, I watched The View. Now I can barely stomach a clip of The View that I see on Instagram randomly.
Oh, I made
But
it.
at that time, I remember him coming on to The View and asking for Obama's birth certificate. And I remember thinking, yeah, what's the big deal? Just show your birth certificate. If you don't have something to hide, you should have no problem putting forth your birth certificate. To me, he is not a citizen of this country. He never should have been president, and I agree with you. I think that was the start of it all, and here we are. And I think that 2020, I think it was an interesting time. I definitely think that election also had, we both had our thoughts on the 2020 election. And I think that he didn't have as much of the popular vote as he does now. I think he did have some people behind him, but I think that what happened in 2024, I think he really had the people, because I think you're right. I think because we did have the Biden administration, I think that it woke a lot of people up to, wait a minute, this is not where I want to see my future going in terms of how expensive everything was getting and the nonsense that was going on in his administration, and just really having a president that was checked out. I mean, if he was on the beach and stumbling
A
and
bunch
couldn't
of the
find a door
trees.
and couldn't walk upstairs, and I think that people really started to see that, wait a minute, what's happening here? And I think it woke a lot of people up, which was the positive thing that came out of the 2020 election.
Well, I think with the 2020 election, well, let me just go back a little bit.
Yeah.
During the 2008 election, where we were discussing that he wasn't a citizen,
Yes.
remember there was a woman in Toronto
Nice.
named Loretta Fuddy.
Mm-hmm.
She
Oh,
died in
those
a
are
plane crash.
stretched,
The only
huh?
person that died, and there are videos that shows it
Jeez.
looks like there's a diver that comes up and drags her down.
It does, it's scary.
That is
I
unbelievable.
think her boy
So,
needs to
right
be
there,
emptied.
I mean, again, if you look at Hillary Clinton's, you look at Obama, chefs, just dying. This woman's dying. I do believe they probably put a hit out on these individuals to shut them up. So yes, 2008, I do believe that was an overthrow of government. I do believe that was the beginning of the insurgency in this country to actually destroy America. And then when Trump came along in 2016, they tried to overthrow the government again by using their cheating system. It didn't work, and he used the Electoral College. Fast forward to 2020. At that point in time, like we said in the very, very beginning of the show, Trump, during his first time, put everything in place to protect America and to take full control of America. And he allowed the overthrow of the United States government. And I said this many, many times before on to report, is that insurrection has to be against the sitting president. Biden did not sit president. He was not certified. The only president there was at the time was President Trump. So now when people start to see what happened on January 6th, they see that it was capital force. It was confidential sources. It was the CIA. It was Antifa there. It was all these people that were there to make sure there was emergency session. So there would be no questions about the results of the elections. They already used their cheats. The way the opera was used in 2016, they cheated like they've never seen before. And Trump caught them in the act. And they completely cheated. But since that time, they've been answered.
Well, what is it you always say? It's like it's not the crime because
It's the fact that the fact that always gets you.
right.
And you can see already with the Russian collusion hoax,
Oh yeah.
everything that they tried to cover
Alright,
up.
I'm
it's
sure
in
that'll be
the
ready.
Durham Annex,
Yeah.
declassified information. It's now showing that yes, they were responsible for it. They covered it up. They hid the. This is all the stuff that was hidden. Remember?
Yeah.
They didn't want anyone to see this because if anyone saw it, everyone would realize that they're responsible.
Pull this bad boy out.
So I think in the end, everyone's going to learn that these people, the same people from the beginning of 2008 all the way up to right now, they have never stopped the conspiracy of trying to destroy America and go after Trump. Trump always sends someone away.
Always.
He's really after
I mean,
people.
how many times has he been impeached, and how many times have they gone after him, his family, his children, his wife? It's terrible. It's really outrageous, the stuff that they've tried to get away with. I mean, we even had somebody recently, that idiot guy, and he's like, "I'm going to impeach him," and he has his cane. What's that guy's name? I don't know, but you know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I know. who you're
Yeah.
talking
But anyway, it's neither here nor there. The bottom line is, I feel like when they get threatened by President Trump, what do? We're going to impeach him, and they don't even have grounds. They don't have any real anything, but that's their favorite thing to do. Is just like try to tie him up in nonsense that really doesn't matter, and and meanwhile they're all sitting there freaking out. I mean, when you see Pelosi, I mean, I love the Pelosi act, the whole thing. Did you see how she's freaking out on? I don't want to talk about that now. I'm here to talk about something
Well, she's
else.
saying that it's not her, it's her husband that's making the
Please.
trades.
Yeah.
But we always have to look at the spouses. I mean, if it's a man in a political position, they use their wives. If it's a woman in a political position, they use their husbands. So you always look at the spouses because they always make sure that the spouses are the ones laundering the money. It's not them, because when you look at their taxes, it looks clean, it looks perfect.
Yeah, well,
And then you have the spouses.
I'm going to tell you, we could do a whole other episode and we could make a whole little chart, which we should put together, about like the spouses and how they're connected. And it's really fascinating because I kind of went down this rabbit hole one day, but we can get in that at a later date. And it's not just in politics, it's in the mainstream news and this and who they're married to. And it's very interesting. And it's all connected. I'm telling you, it's all connected.
Everything is connected. And I think these people will be brought to justice. I mean, a lot of people are worried about Obama, but you have to remember, Obama, he was president until 2016. And he started the Russian collusion in 2016, a little bit before that. And everyone's saying, well, he can't be tried. Well, first of all, if he does have, we know the Supreme Court made a ruling about presidential immunity. Remember, it only has to deal with presidential acts. So let's say that is a presidential act, and they say it is a presidential act. Can he be brought up on charges on that? No, he has presidential immunity, but again, he was only president until January of 2016. The other thing is,
This plow guy
he does have presidential immunity for that.
knows what he's
He could
doing.
be called into Congress, he could be subpoenaed, and he can't plead the fifth. Because he has presidential immunity, which means he has to tell the
Look at
truth.
this
If he
plow
lies,
guy.
he goes to prison. Now,
He
every
knows what's
act
up.
after that, as he's a citizen, remember Hillary Clinton was a citizen, Clapper was a citizen, Brennan was a citizen. They're all citizens.
Here, I'm
which
gonna
means
go
they
heat
all
up
could
my
be
coffee real
charged.
quick.
Even
BRB.
Obama, because if he orchestrated the overthrow of the United States government in 2020, which I do believe he was involved with, if he orchestrated all the different policies when Biden was in office, he's no longer the president. There's no presidential act right there. And there is no statute of limitations because they're continuing the grand conspiracy. Remember, the fake news and all these people, they never said it was fake, which means it's continuing.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's take it one step further. Okay, say it comes out that he actually could have never been president of the United States because he's not a natural-born citizen. Is he ever president? So can he be tried anyway? Because then you don't get presidential immunity because you should have never even been president. So does that negate everything that he's ever done? In my opinion, I think it would, because he never should have been president of the United States because he was not born of this country.
So let's take it another step. So he was not a citizen. He overthrew the United States government in 2008. Again in 2012. I mean, he did it twice, actually, if you really think about it.
Yes, he did.
And then in 2020, they overthrew the United States government once again. So, let's see, 3 times they did this, which means they never should have been president. Biden should have never been president, former resident. Obama should have never been president. So, everything is null and void at this point. And since he's never president and he lied to the American people, is there really presidential immunity?
Well, to me, that's treason, because
Well,
you
I think Trump
overthrew
has
the
already-
United States of America.
I
That's
think
it.
Trump has already said that.
Yeah, I
this
think
is
he did.
treasonous.
I think he actually did just say that. Actually, if there was a tweet or something he just wrote, actually.
Yeah, I think he was
either
doing a
yesterday or
press
today.
conference, and he said, "This is treason. Everything that they've done here
It is
treason."
treason. Well, Russia is total treason. I mean, and not to even go back to the fact that he, spied on his campaign. I mean, there's so many things. It's just, it is like we've been living in a movie, quite frankly. I mean,
Well,
honestly.
I think it is a movie, and I think we're coming up to the ending of the movie, and I think it's going to be an incredible ending.
I am here for it. I am excited about it because it's been a long time coming.
I think everyone should just enjoy the show.
I agree. Pop your popcorn.
I agree. And I just want to let everyone know that this new show is going to be airing every Saturday, once a week. So you can join us on Rumble Premium. And it will also be on the secure server. For those people that are members of the secure server, you'll also see the show on there. And you can get it on Rumble Premium.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yes, thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.
Oh man, we got a collision now. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Oh, I just gotta move the other tractor, which needs to be moved anyways. Get out of our way. got solar. Got the whole shebang. Alright. Open chute. Pipe out. There's pipe out. Oh, I'm way off. There we go. And we're empty. Pipe in. Fold harvester. Get over to the next field. Where's the next field? I don't know yet.
Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3696B, and today's date is July 28th, 2025, and the thought of the episode is Strut scrubbed his tweets in the Wayback Machine, Obama panic, D5, information warfare. Hey, you know what's really interesting? I was online the other day, and I stumbled across this video.
I reckon
It's
it's
from Chuck
this
Norris.
way.
Yeah, it was insane. He's in his 80s, and he says he still feels like he's in his 50s. It was pretty shocking. He had some pretty cool tips in there, too, on what he's doing, including these 3 foods that he avoids
Ooh.
like the plague. First, I was a little bit skeptical. He explained all the things he was doing, and it was super simple. Then I tried some
Oh,
of
yeah,
them, and
there
they were
we
so
go.
easy. I'm even feeling amazing now, too. At first, I didn't really want to share the info, but I thought, hey, you all are so loyal to me and listen, so I had to share with all of you. Since what happened to Chuck and me could also happen for you too, but with any new method, of course,
see,
your result can vary.
unfold
But the video is
harvester,
definitely worth
lower
checking out.
header.
And I was able to get this special link just for all of you. Watch the video now at
Turn
chuckdefense.com
on
/X22.
harvester.
That's chuckdefense.com /X22. Make it even easier. I linked it below in the video, and you can check it out yourself. It's pretty quick, and seriously, it's been a game changer, and want you all to check it out right now. Go to chuckdefense.com /X22. Watch the video. Let's get into the
Over on
economic
the other
collapse, political,
tractor.
and geopolitical news. Now, the
Get
deep
it
state,
out
the
of
corrupt
the way.
politicians, big tech fake news, the puppet masters. You can tell that the deep state players that push the Russia hoax over to the United States government, push the indictments, the impeachment hoax, try to assassinate Trump. You can see that they are now panicking. How do we know this? Well, certain
Get it back onto the
individuals that
farm.
are involved in the Russian hoax, they are now deleting their posts on X. Once again, you can believe that, but they're never really gone. But they even took it a step
Needle.
further. It looks like Struck, who actually deleted his posts on
Alright,
X,
who do we got?
he
Canola?
decided to scrub his tweets in the Wayback Machine, so you couldn't look back in history to find certain things that he said. Now, that is very interesting. And a lot of people are now looking at this saying, well, who gave him access to this? Well, it looks like you can actually kind of do this yourself. But the question is, why would he do this if he did nothing wrong? You see, the cover-up always gets you in the end. And Obama is continually trying to spin what he actually did in his last days as president. And once again, as he continually spins the information to cover up what he did, Tulsi comes out and says, no, that's not true. The fake news is trying to run cover, but it's not working. And you can see those individuals that are in the fake news, they are also panicking right now because Tulsi Gabbard is calling
Prices.
saying that they knowingly cooperated with all these individuals. And what do you think is going to happen to the Pulitzer Prize that, the New York Times won and a couple other people won? It's going to have to be returned. Actually, should have been returned a long time ago. Remember, we are in an information war right now. And Trump and the Patriots, they're using information to actually corner and trap the deep state players. And it is working. This is just the beginning. And you're going to see these people panic. And remember, what we're witnessing, everything that we're seeing is going to pick up momentum. We're going to see an avalanche like we've never seen before. And it's going to grow in size as it comes down the hill. Because remember, it's not just Russian collusion. This goes all the way back to when Obama first came into office, when he overthrew the United States government back then. And then he tried in 2016. He tried in 2020. Trump allowed it to happen because he needed to catch them in the act, and he needed to take full control of the country. And he needed to wake up the people by making them think that they were in control of the situation and they had the ability to do what they wanted to do, and that was to destroy this country. And they tried again in 2024. Trump has caught them in the act multiple times. And when you start to put all this together and you start to put the Epstein stuff together, this is now forming the biggest, greatest storm that we have ever seen. It's the perfect storm. And yes, Epstein is a very big part of it. And this is why Trump allowed the deep state players to move forward with their agenda of trying to push the manipulated information. Actually, Trump is even saying that, yeah, the information is fake. That's what they're trying to push. And if you notice, Trump and the Patriots, they have now come out with the narrative that, yes, we want all the credible information about Epstein to come out. Not the deep state information, the credible information. You know, the information that is backed up in facts, court documents.
I think I gotta get him more outside of it.
Not from anonymous sources or made up information. So they've already changed what the deep state has been trying to do. They've already changed what the influencers, what the fake news is trying to force Trump to do. And now they're saying, yes, if it's credible and is backed up by facts, we will be releasing it. We need documentation. This is why Trump has ordered the grand jury information. He instructed the DOJ,
we're glitchy.
Okay, tell the judges this is what we want. We want it released. Remove the redactions. And he knew exactly what was going to happen. He knew that the Obama-appointed judges, they were going to say, oh, no, we're not releasing this. So basically, he just turned the table and said, okay, who's keeping the information back? Is it me? No, absolutely not. I want credible information. Johnson even says, we need credible information. So who's keeping the grand jury information? Don't you want to see that? It must be very important if the Obama judges don't want to release that. And now
that I got it out here,
Durbin, you know, the guy that hid the Epstein information, didn't want anyone to see, didn't want it released. Now he wants the conversation that Ghislaine had with Todd Ranch. Isn't that interesting? Are they panicking a little bit? Are they worried about this new credible information that is going to actually cut through their crap? Of course they are. But Trump, he's using this to his advantage. He has them calling for it. Now, the fake news is reporting on it. Now, all the people in the country know about it. I mean, you couldn't plan this any better. Absolutely amazing. Because in the end, when Trump shows more of the Russian collusion information, when Trump shows the impeachment information, when he shows the attempted assassination information, when he brings out how they overthrew the United States government and tried multiple times.
So I got canola.
He's going to top all of this off with Epstein.
That's where it said to bring it.
Really think about this for a second. Remember, we're in an information war right now. He's using information to attack the deep state players. If you notice, he's much more bold right now. He's much more confident right now because he has the power, he has the leverage. Wait until you see what it looks like after we take control of the House and we take control of the Senate. Trump is going to have
That's where
all
it said
the
to
power.
bring it.
And you're going to see he's not going to hold back whatsoever. And we're going to be talking a lot more about this a little bit later. But first, let's talk about what Bezos is doing right now, because it looks like he's continually dumping his stock. And recently he just dumped
this dude's active.
$5.7 billion in Amazon stock. And now there's rumors out there that Bezos is going to be purchasing CNBC. Doesn't he own the Washington Post? That's a propaganda outlet. Is he going to make CNBC
You gonna go,
a
lady?
bigger propaganda outlet? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that's very interesting, and we mentioned this yesterday, Data Republican, she was tracking down where all the money went.
Start
for all the
driving.
donations. Because remember, Elizabeth Warren and Gavin Newsom, they're saying, "Oh yeah, donate. We gotta donate to the LA wildfires. We gotta build up our coffers. We gotta stop the
You got driving
fires."
skills like
And
me.
she went down in real time at where this money goes, and what she's come to find out is that the money really doesn't go to where you think it's going to go. And she did a little bit of an update, and the graph or the diagram that she created, it looks like a spaghetti mess of where this money actually goes. And this is what she says. I've been asked about the LA wildfire
Wow, this is a
donation
glitch.
scandal. Here's the truth. It's standard operating procedure in most nonprofits. Only a small fraction of their donations reaches the front lines. If this qualifies as a scandal, then the entire nonprofit sector is a scandal. Lawmakers shouldn't treat this as an isolated case. They should treat it as a call to overhaul a broken, opaque system. The graph below shows the 501c3 grant network for the Barack Obama Foundation, but it could be almost any major nonprofit. They all look like this. You have no idea where where the money's going, because it looks like a spaghetti model right now. And it looks very, very confusing. And they do this on purpose, so you really don't know where the money actually goes. And we know that most of this information that you donate does not go to the front lines. I do believe it goes from NGO to NGO, and then
I know what I
like a
can
little bit
do. I
piece
can
from
turn
each one of these.
traffic
By
off.
the time the money actually reaches where it's supposed to go, there's nothing left. And this is why when you look at Haiti, when you look at, USA for Africa, when you look at the donations to the Maui fire, the LA fires, or anything, the money never ever gets there, because that's not what this is
That'll
for.
make it
They use
easier.
Hollywood to convince you that they're doing a good thing. They play on your emotional strings to donate. Oh, look, I'm doing a really good thing. I'm donating. I'm helping these people out. That's not what you're doing. You're actually funding the deep state operation. That's what's really happening. And now it's being exposed to the public, and the public are now learning all about this. Just like they're learning about how the illegals in this country actually are criminals. They're child traffickers, human traffickers, rapists, terrorists, cartel members, gang members, you name it. The people have now learned this, they understand it, and they realize that this is a major, major problem. Loops at TikTok.
Doing 60 in the backfield. It's coming in hot.
19, Haley Hegelson, 18. A sweet
Stop
couple
on a dime.
were driving together when their lives were cut short by an illegal from Honduras who was drunk driving the wrong way and crashed into them. 160 Democrats voted against a bill to deport illegal drunk driving. Basically, Democrats, they want the criminal illegals roaming our country. This is their foot soldiers. This is who they use. They need these people in this country.
Shoot,
Number one,
I think this trailer's too tall.
voting. Number two, they need it for when they're called upon to riot and destroy and kill and maim. Number three, they need it to run this country because they want to destroy the country. Number four, they need the illegals here because basically it's a revenue stream. And this is another revenue stream. This is where they make the money. This is where they like open borders, because they can traffic drugs, they can traffic children, they can traffic women, they can do all of these things. And this is why the cartels were making so much money. Who do you think was involved in that? The deep state players. And you can see that Peekaboo James, she is now going to file a lawsuit against the Trump administration. Why? Because she's trying to keep illegal aliens on SNAP benefits. So wait a minute, I thought illegals weren't getting any benefits. It seems like the D's right now, they're actually saying the quiet part out loud, and they are now protecting illegals. Mike Davis was going to this. He said, "We are big teachers, already USC section 1324. Lawyer up. Absolutely." And you can see the D's facilities, they love to put on a show about the different ICE facilities. And basically, they
Got
do
me
it
some
on
wheat,
multiple
and in
facilities.
this
They just want to make
field
a really big show. They
is
want the press to
barley.
come, and they actually set it up to make sure that they don't actually tour the ICE facility. Because if they actually toured the ICE facility,
How's
you know
this
what they
guy
would
doing?
see?
Still
They would
planning?
see the opposite
Still
of what they're
planning his
reporting.
trip?
So they don't actually want to retort. They just want
No,
the
it's a tough one.
publicity, and they want this message out there. Representative Johnny Olszewski put this out and said, "My Maryland colleagues and I were denied entry to the Baltimore ICE Detention Center despite following all legal requirements. Congress has a legal right to inspect ICE facilities amid reports of inhumane conditions. This refusal is alarming. We won't stop fighting for the illegals." Of course they won't. These are their constituents. But Homeland Security responded to this and said the following: "Congressman, if you need a photo op with the violent, criminal, illegal aliens you are protecting, schedule a tour. As for visits to detention facilities, requests should be made with sufficient time to prevent interference with the President's Article 2 authority to oversee executive department functions. A week is sufficient to ensure no intrusion on the President's constitutional authority. To protect the President's Article 2 authority, any request to shorten that time must be approved by the Secretary." Now, once again, did they actually do this? No. They just wanted the photo op. They wanted the publicity. They just wanted it out there. Because, again, if they actually took the tour, you know what they would see? They would see, oh, everything that we said is completely fake. They don't want the people to see that. So this is how they push their fake information. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that we know in certain states, like Maine, they were making illegals police officers. So illegals who are not citizens of this country, they now have the ability to actually arrest citizens. I mean, really think about it. This is like mind-blowing. It's unbelievable. Bill Malugin put this out and said the following: "ICE confirms they have arrested a Jamaican illegal alien who was employed as a police officer in Maine after he illegally attempted to buy a gun, which triggered an alert to ATF. ICE says John Luke Evans, who is in the U.S. illegally as a visa overstay, was a hired cop by Old Orchard PD in Maryland and admitted to trying to purchase the gun as part of his job. ICE says he first entered the U.S. lawfully by flying into Miami on September 24, 2023, but never left on his scheduled departure flight on October 1st, 2023, overstaying his visa ever since." Patricia Hyde, the field office director for ICE Boston, which arrested Evans, released a blistering statement slamming Evans' hiring as a
Definitely
police
cost
officer.
me some
John
money to
Luke
harvest
Evans not
this
only broke
stuff.
U.S. immigration law, but he also illegally attempted to purchase a firearm. Shockingly, Evans was employed as a local law enforcement officer. The fact that the police department would hire an illegal alien and lawfully issue him a firearm while on duty would be comical if it weren't so tragic. We have a police department
Hello.
that was knowingly breaking the very law they are charged with enforcing in order to employ an illegal alien. ICE Boston would continue to prioritize public safety by arresting and removing criminal alien threats from our New England communities. And think about it. The law that was put into place to make sure that those people that aren't able to get weapons, illegals, those people that broke the law, it worked perfectly. They were alerted, they were denied. Remember, criminals, they get their firearms via the black market. This individual, yes, he was a criminal, he came to this country illegally, stayed here illegally. He never went back on his flight, and he's not a citizen. He tried to get a firearm going through the proper channels, and it worked. It shut him down,
How'd she do?
and it alerted the authorities. That's what's supposed to happen. But think about it, all the other shootings and everything else the deep state kind of sets up, they always have their individuals get their weapons on the black market. That's the majority of the time. Or they have those individuals that they're using where they can control these people. They actually take the weapons from their parents or those people that they're living with that got the weapon legally, and then they use the weapon. So once again, you can see that the laws are working, and it shut this individual down because he's not a citizen of this country and he doesn't have the right to own a weapon because he's not from this country. And what's very interesting is that we could see that
Alright.
everything the deep state tried to
See
do
what we
with
get.
Trump and MAGA and the Republicans,
That
where they
load.
tried to push the fake Epstein information, well, that is completely and utterly
50,000.
fallen apart. Actually, I think it's fallen apart already. I think people are coming to their senses and they're starting to realize that, you know something, that was all fake. And actually, Trump, while he was out in Scotland, he pretty much confirmed that, yeah, this is all fake. It's a hoax. It's not real information.
Technically, they just bought the truck.
President Trump suggests something was planted in the Epstein files, says they were run by the Biden administration. Those files were run by the worst scum on earth, he says. The whole thing is a hoax. They ran the files. I was running against somebody that ran the files. If they had something, they would have released them. Now, they can easily put something in the files that's a phony. And he's absolutely right. If they truly had something on Trump, do you think they'd be waiting to now after he was elected? No, they would do it way before. Actually, they would do it all the way back in time, which means they really don't have anything. And Trump, he's continually dropping names, letting everyone know that, yes, Larry Summers, the former head of Harvard, he spent some time on Epstein Island. He actually mentioned Bill Clinton's name. He went there 28 times. He visited the island. So Trump is basically releasing the list of names now. MJ Truth Ultra points to post 4,577. And this is probably a partial list of those people that actually visited Epstein Island. And guess who's on it? Larry Summers, Bill Clinton. Yes, there's many, many other names. But I do believe in the end, we're going to find out that, yeah, these people actually visited there. And you can see the deep state players, the fake news, they're now running cover for these people. How do we know this? Well, during that interview in Scotland, Trump says he's never went to the island. It was a very good decision of his not to go there. But other people went to the island, like Bill Clinton. He went to the Epstein Island 28 times. When Wolf Blitzer on CNN was reporting this information, the clip that they showed actually cut the part out where he says Bill Clinton visited the island. They cut out the part where he said Larry Summers visited the island. Don't you find that interesting? Why wouldn't they want their viewers to hear that part? That's very, very interesting. Patriots Are Control put this out, so take a listen.
I get it.
To the exchange and
Planning their drive.
And Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people, nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down. A lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island.
I don't know.
Says he never visited Jeffrey Epstein's
Jittery
private island.
Stream. Yikes.
I never had the privilege of going to his island, and I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island.
Right there, that should tell you everything you need to know. And Trump now, he's been bringing up when he threw Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. He said he threw disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago due to his inappropriate behavior. He hired help, and I said, don't ever do that again. And he did it again, he said. And I threw him out of the place, persona non grata.
How's my
I threw
harvester
him out,
doing?
and that was it. I'm glad I did it.
Well,
If you want to know the truth.
still got the plowing.
So he got rid of Epstein, then he reported Epstein,
of plowing
and gave
going
information
on.
to the prosecutor. So everything the deep state players tried to do, it's completely backfiring. And if you notice, Trump now and his administration now, they're all saying, yes,
Oh, we're all done.
we should release the credible information. The credible Epstein files
Okay.
should be released. So credible means those that are backed up with fact. Johnson is out there saying, yes, we should release the credible evidence and information. I think everyone agrees. I think the Senate proposed the idea of releasing all the Epstein information, the credible information. And you know what the D's did? They said, no, we don't want that information. We want our manipulated information. That's the information that we want.
Pipe out.
Trump said, okay, let's get the credible information from the grand jury.
We'll go grab our other
Instructing the
vehicle.
DOJ to go to the grand jury, and we want it released. Of course, you know the judges have to release it. So these are Obama judges, and they don't want to release it. The one in Florida already said, nope, we're not doing it. The one in New York says, I need additional information. I believe probably in the end, they'll probably say, no, we're not going to release this information because we go through it and say, oh, holy crap. This actually involves the entire criminal syndicate, and if I release this information, well, the whole ship is going down here. And we're not going to do it. Not right now. Nope, not doing it. So Trump is going to turn this around going, listen, I tried to get all this information, but it seems that the Democrats don't want to release the credible information. We tried with the grand jury. We tried in the Senate. We tried everywhere. But why don't they want this information out there? It makes no sense. He turned this all around now, and now it's on them. Better health. The science is in. A clinical trial found that just 10 grams of collagen a day for 8 weeks led to a roughly 20% increase in skin hydration and
Here we
17%
are.
improvement in elasticity while
What's
also
up?
visibly reducing wrinkle depth. If you want to help
Fill
improve
her
your
up,
skin health, it's
buddy.
collagen is essential. This is why I use the secret magical powder, and I'm obsessed with the results. Multi-collagen provides my skin with 5 types of premium collagen to help attack wrinkles from every angle. I'm seeing smoother skin, more elasticity, fewer lines, and more youthful glow. Plus, multi-collagen mixes smoothly with my morning coffee or tea. There's no clumping and zero added flavor. Do yourself a big favor and grab yourself a bag of ageless multi-collagen now for 15% off only at healthwithx22.com. Plus,
Oh,
by
yeah, we're
ordering today,
jittery.
you'll also receive free VIP life health and fitness coaching for life and a free ebook titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, and free shipping with your order. Once again, this offer is only available at healthwithx22.com. That's
Put your pipe
healthwithx22.com.
back
Or
in.
just click the link in the description.
Alright,
Isn't
lower
that
header.
interesting? And Dick Durbin, you know, the
Turn
one that was
on
keeping the Epstein
harvester.
information, he didn't want to release it until now, which is very, very
Don't
interesting.
have.
Now he's getting worried, and he wants the recordings
What?
from Ghislaine
Thought I
Maxwell.
owned this
What
land.
did she say? Who did she
Yeah.
name?
So
He's
I thought.
probably wondering, was it my name?
Okay.
Maybe, maybe not. But it looks like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and his entire team, they're doing an incredible job, and I believe they're saving the children as Trump and team are pushing Epstein information. And it looks like Operation Grayskull, they basically took down 120,000
Gotta get this guy out to the
users,
road.
millions of files, and basically they got 18 individuals, and they are now convicted in federal court, receiving a combined 300 plus years in prison. So it looks like they dismantled 4 high traffic dark web platforms, trafficking child sexual abuse materials, exposing a digital cesspool that included over 120,000 registered users and millions of illicit files. Kash and Bongino are shutting down these entire operations. And I do believe in the background they're probably looking for these children, because you have to remember, these children are involved in all of this. And I do believe by shutting all this down, what they're doing right now is they're trying to protect them before the credible information comes out. Because again, this is the storm that Trump and team are creating right now. And I do believe the storm is going to intensify as time goes on. We'll be talking a lot more about Epstein, Russia collusion a little bit later. But first, let's go out to the UK and Scotland. Because Trump, he's visiting.
I hung up with my
golf course out
trailer.
there. He's also meeting with different politicians, the head of the EU, because he just made a trade deal with the EU, and the head of the
Come on, we're
United
getting
States.
out of here.
And it looks like we had all the leverage once again. And what's very interesting is that Trump, he decided not to go to London to meet Keir Starmer. He had Keir Starmer. So let's say he was in his is visiting Trump. You think he did this on purpose? Absolutely. It's supposed to be the other way around. But when you have all the leverage and you have all the power, you make the leader of the country that you're in come to you. That is real power. Unbelievable.
Well, there's a big old trailer.
His entire peace plan, it is working, and it looks like Thailand and Cambodia, they decided on a ceasefire. Trump has put this out on Instagram. I just spoke to the acting Prime Minister of Thailand, the Prime Minister of Cambodia, and pleased to announce that
Alright, we're out by the road now.
President Donald Trump
We should be styling.
ceasefire and peace. Congratulations to all by ending this war. You have saved thousands of lives. I've instructed my trade team to restart negotiations on trade. I have now ended many wars in just 6 months. I am proud to be president of peace. And I do believe that he's going to be ending the Ukraine war. It looks like the plan is going exactly the way we wanted it to go. Amuse put this out and said the European Union has finally acknowledged what many already knew.
Oof.
Ukraine ranks among the
could
most
I?
corrupt nations on earth,
Why
rivaled
would
only
I?
by Russia. In response to growing concerns about President Zelensky's regime, the Ukrainian parliament just gutted
Okay.
the country's
Deliver.
anti-corruption agency, placing them squarely under Zelensky's personal control.
Well, let's see
Trump
what
warned
has
us
the
about
best
this years
prices.
ago. He was right again. And think about this. Zelensky didn't want anyone else to have the power because, again, they would come after him. They would come after many other people. So he basically took control over all of this, which is very, very interesting. And think about what Trump has done. He has now boxed in Zelensky and the EU because, once again, aid is not going to Ukraine. Weapons are not going directly to Ukraine. NATO, the EU, they are now purchasing the
we're looking
weapons,
for wheat.
and they can either give the weapons to Ukraine or sell the weapons to Ukraine. Since the United States is not giving aid to Ukraine,
Wheat.
they don't have
We're
money
at
to
an
keep the war
all-time
going.
low.
They begged the EU, but the EU said, yeah, you know what? We're cutting you off. I'm sorry. We're not
We
even
need to
giving
go
you
to the
loans.
green.
So now what's happening is they're receiving no funds. If you have no funds, you can't keep the war going. If NATO and EU have to continually purchase defensive weapons, how do you attack Russia? It becomes very, very difficult, which means this is a war of attrition. Now, Trump, he gave Putin 50 days. Now, remember, he is the middleman. He doesn't want the press, the fake news to say, oh, he's Putin's puppet. So he's always going to be against Putin. I'm going to give Putin 50 days, and then we're going to place tariffs on other countries that deal with Russia. Now that the EU is not funding the war, he's now cut down the time frame to 10 to 12 days, which means in 10 to 12 days, most likely, we're going to see peace between Ukraine and Russia. It might go along a little bit longer than that, depends what happens. But remember, there's been peace negotiations in
Not
Turkey.
activated.
So I do believe Trump really needed to get Ukraine, EU, and NATO on board, and he pretty much shut them down.
Unexpected targeted.
Zelensky now can't do anything. He's trapped in all this, and the only thing he can do is negotiate peace. Of course, it's going to keep all optics on Putin, so this way the fake news can't say, oh, Trump, he's siding with Putin. He's Putin's friend. Because you have to remember, what is he doing right now? What is his team doing right now? They're releasing the Russian collusion files. So people are looking at this going, okay, he's really hard on Putin. He says Putin's not fair. He says Putin can't make a deal. He says, I'm going to place sanctions on Putin. He's saying that Putin is the problem. Putin doesn't want peace. He's doing this on purpose. And you can see that Zelensky is the actual problem. The EU is the actual problem. The deep state, NATO, is the actual problem. And now I do believe Trump, most likely in the next couple of weeks, he's going to let everyone know that there's now peace with Ukraine and Russia and shut down the entire deep state war. Basically, funding is the key. Without the funding, the deep state does not exist. And think about it. Do you really think Bill Gates, George Soros, and all these other people, corporations,
how's everybody this morning?
own money to fund
Or this evening,
all
depending
these
on where you
organizations
film.
that Deep State created? No, they're using the laundered money to do this.
Got a
And what's
jitter in
very
the top
interesting
right.
is that a new BMJ Global Health study has confirmed that the World Health Organization, the WHO, private fundraising arm, the WHO Foundation, has received tens of millions of dollars
Guy's hauling.
from pharmaceutical giants, big tech companies, and anonymous sources, with nearly half the funding now untraceable. The study findings come after U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced the United States will reject the WHO's sweeping emergency powers treaty, warning that the same unelected body now seeking global medical surveillance of every human being. From its launch until the end of 2023, the WHO Foundation disclosed
Just take the field.
receipts of U.S. $82 million overall, of which
Nobody cares.
U.S. $39 million, 48%, was from anonymous donations over $100,000. In total, U.S. $51 million, 62.3% in anonymous donations were reported. The top named donor was Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, long considered one of WHO's most influential funders. Let's see. Bill Gates, most likely, as we know, is involved in the pandemic. He's involved in vaccines, and he pays off for WHO. Donations varied by sector, with largest name donations coming from the private philanthropic sector, including the Gates Foundation and other family foundations, followed by social media companies, medical device companies, and the banking, finance, and pharmaceutical sectors. Secretary Kennedy recently cut off the U.S. funding to Bill Gates' vaccine syndicate Gavi, citing
Coming in hot.
peer-reviewed evidence that the DTP shot it promotes may kill more children from other causes than it saves, and condemning the alliance for treating vaccine safety as a PR problem instead of a public health priority. The WHO Foundation launched in 2020 to accept donations from entities the WHO cannot receive money from directly. Now also counts Meta, Facebook, TikTok, Maybelline, Sanofi, Boehringer, and Novo Nordisk among its known funders. A majority of funds aren't even going to WHO programs. They're going to the WHO Foundation's own operational costs. Isn't this interesting where all of this is going, and Bill Gates is one of the largest anonymous donors? Very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is out in Cincinnati, we can see there was an event and a mob of individuals, they were black, they attacked white people, and what's very interesting about this, and Ed Wilkins put this out, is that there are 0 AP news stories about this attack, 0 Fox, 0 PBS, 0 New York Times, 0 NPR, 0 ABC,
Home
0
for it.
ABC, 0 CNN. It seems that they really didn't want to report on any of this. Now, if it was the other way around, and it was a group of white people attacking a black person, all these fake news outlets, they'd be reporting it like crazy. Now, it doesn't matter the color of their skin. Because, again, what's happening right now is that the fake news, the D's, and the rest, they're pushing this type of agenda. And anyone that attacks anyone like this, they should be arrested. Nick Sorta put this out and said, Cincinnati police have identified at least 4 members of the black mob. The city of Cincinnati is finally doing something now that Dylan put them on notice. Arrest and vigorously prosecute. Absolutely. And we could see that Dylan, she said, listen, we're going to monitor this, and if you're not doing what we need you to do, we're going to come in and we're going to get involved and we're going to arrest these people. And this is exactly what happened. She put pressure on them, and these people now have been arrested, what they should have been. And you know, what's very interesting
What are
about
we
the
doing?
fake
Just
news,
storing
they
it?
don't like to report on people with weapons that protect others. There was an individual
It literally
in
just gave
Traverse City, Michigan,
me no
where
money.
they were at a Walmart, and this individual went around stabbing people with a knife. And a black man with a gun and other people around him actually stopped him. He's actually a hero. But the fake news, they really don't want to report on these type of things. Now, maybe the local news is reporting on it, but again, the major outlets, they don't like to put this out there because they don't want people to know that people with guns actually save lives. Actually, more people with guns save lives than those people with guns kill people. So they don't like to report on these type of things, and they don't want to tell you that guns are a good thing. Remember, it's just a tool. If you put any type of tool in someone's hand, like a butcher's knife, yeah. If you have a crazy person taking that knife and stabbing them, yes, that tool can be used for evil. But that butcher knife could also be used to cut meat. Same thing with a weapon.
So if you wanted
Same
it
thing with a
back,
gun, I
then
should
what?
say. A criminal with a gun is going to use it to do evil. An upstanding citizen with a gun is going to use that gun to do good, to stop
Yeah, that was
these evil
strange.
people. And actually, if we had more upstanding citizens with weapons in all these different states, guess what? I think crime would go way, way down because the criminals would know, wait, this is a carrying state? I got to be careful here because I don't know if this person has a weapon. And people that conceal carry, you'll never ever know that they're actually carrying. I think people believe that, oh, I
Saving
can tell if someone's
content.
carrying a weapon. No, those individuals that are
I don't like
carrying
it.
concealed, you will never ever know that they're actually carrying a weapon. And in those states where you're allowed to carry a weapon, most of the people around you probably have it and you don't even know it. They're keeping you safe. That's what they're doing. Now, the other thing that's really, really interesting, and we can see that this is really getting out of hand, and Amuse put this out, the Boston Police Department is actively reaching out to its growing Islamic community to recruit Islamic police officers to enforce the law
Planning.
and social norms in their predominantly Muslim neighborhoods. Yeah, see, we shouldn't be creating police forces for certain religions. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Just like it doesn't make any sense that the House, 220
Game is getting
members
glitchy.
passed the bill for Planned Parenthood
Not too
to
cool.
fund it. The Senate, 50 senators passed the bill. Trump signed the bill, and
Oh, yeah.
this judge, Talwani, overruled
Wow, that was
the
pure
House,
glitch.
the Senate, and the President. Think about that
Mind
for
you,
a
this
second.
is their first round.
This judge, who's unelected, decided, you know something, these elected people, where the people of this country elected these people, and those people that are in the House and the Senate, the representatives of the people, I don't like that, so I'm going to reverse it. Does that make any sense? This is what a
Their
tyrannical
first day
government
on
looks like.
Xbox Cloud Gaming.
And they're using the judiciary. This is part
Give
of the
them the
tyrannical
benefit of the
government.
doubt.
They're using it to stop the elected government. Unbelievable. But you have to ask your question. Why did she decide to rule against it? Well, Banshee explains. He said, this may be the most baseless, insane ruling I've ever seen. The Biden-appointed judge ruled Congress can't defund Planned Parenthood because it might lead to unintended pregnancies and less access to contraceptives. Think about that for a second. Think about what this judge actually wrote. These judges need to be removed ASAP. But we know it's not going to happen right now because, again, we don't have control of the House and the Senate. This is why Trump wants his nominees confirmed. This is why Trump wants control of the House and Senate. And you can see he's leading up to this. He's showing you that these D's, the rhinos, they're not for us. They're against us. And when you look at Russian collusion, you could see as clear as day, the fake news protects the D's. The fake news protects the rhinos. Think of John Bolton. He had information, and he decided to hide it from Trump. He's a rhino. He's a neocon. He's against America. He's for the criminal syndicate.
Alright, we made it.
But look what the fake news is putting out there. National Review put this out on X and says, Trump was the victim of an iniquitous identity trick in 2016, but Tulsi Gabbard has presented nothing new about Barack Obama's involvement. Sean Davis responded to this and said, absolute nonsense from a magazine whose writers were some of the most deranged Russian collusion hoaxers in all of corporate media in 2017 and 2018. Nothing new is nothing but lies. The fake news, they don't even have anything to spin what Tulsi put out. They have nothing to say because, again, the intelligence has been shut down. And she is now declassifying documents that actually show what Obama did, what Brennan did, what Clapper did, what Trump did, what Page did, what all these people have done. And how do you counter this? It's very, very difficult. And think about it. The Washington Post had a fact checker, Glenn Kessler, and he tried to fact check the Russian collusion, but it looks like that is falling apart. Paul Sperry put this out and said, adios, Washington Post fact checker Glenn Kessler, a closet Dem activist, was the biggest Pinocchio of all. He lied repeatedly about VP Biden's Burisma meeting. I traced 6,000 plus from his McLean, Virginia household to Biden's and Kamala's campaign coffers. And then Paul Sperry said, the Russiagate Pulitzer winners, also known as stenographers and shills for Brennan, Clapper, and Comey, at the Washington Post and New York Times, must be holding their prizes tighter and tighter with each newly declassified document exposing the hoax and fraud they complicitly pushed. The whole thing is a gigantic lie, and they awarded these individuals who told the lie. Remember, the criminals, the deep state players, they love to reward those people that back up the criminal syndicate. That's why they're receiving the reward. You lied for us, I'm going to give you a reward. You killed for us, I'm going to give you a reward. Why do you think Obama invited all these people to the White House? Why do you think he was awarding them the Medal of Honor or whatever medal it was? Because he was saying, thank you for protecting the criminal syndicate. That's what they do. And the Pulitzer Prize went to the New York Times and Washington Post because they said, thank you for protecting the criminal syndicate. And it looks like Tom Cotton is on a little bit of trouble here. John Basham put this out and said, DC sources tell me the Republicans on the Senate Intelligence Committee, chaired by Senator Tom Cotton, are crafting legislation that would start restricting Gabbard from reviewing and releasing to the public deep state and intel files showing they've been criminal. General Flynn said, why, Tom Cotton? This is starting to look really bad for you. So the question is this true? Is this what's really happening right now? Well, Data Republican kind of confirmed it a little bit, but we'll have to see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. But the other thing that's really interesting is that newly declassified portions of Susan Rice's email confirm that Michael Flynn was personally targeted during a January 5th Oval Office meeting with Obama. Michael Flynn was personally targeted during a crucial January 5th, 2017 Oval Office meeting arranged by then President Obama, a newly declassified document shows. On January 20th, 2017, as Trump was being inaugurated, White House National Security Advisor Susan Rice sent herself a bizarre email detailing the January 5th meeting between her, Obama, then Vice President Joe Biden, then Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, and fired former Federal Bureau of Investigations Director James Comey. In the email, portion of which were not declassified until recently, Rice recorded that Flynn, who at the time was the incoming National Security Advisor for Trump, was personally discussed and targeted during the meeting with Obama. Documents previously released and declassified show that the FBI never possessed any evidence that Flynn was a secret Russian agent or that he had broken any laws. An FBI electronic communications closing the agency's counterintelligence investigation against him, which was dated January 4th, made clear that no derogatory information about Flynn had been obtained during the months-long investigation of Flynn. You mean the whole thing was a lie? Of course it was. And they hid the truth from we the people. This is what a tyrannical government does. Remember, they had control over everything. When people say, why weren't there arrests? Why wasn't anything done? Because when you control it
Why?
do you really think there was going to be arrests? Think about how long it took Trump and we the people to gained control of these agencies right now. They're still cleaning them out. Do you really think we can prosecute people at this time? With what judges? Think about it. Think logically. When we have control and we remove the judges, when we clean out all the agencies, when Trump and the Patriots and we the people have full strength, yes, that's when you have accountability. Why leave it to chance? Why would you want a case to go in front of Judge Boasberg? Think about it for a second. It makes no sense whatsoever. Svetlana Lokhova put this out and said, how do you think Obama replies to Brennan giving him news of the Clinton plan to dirty up Donald Trump? Oh no, it's terrible, arrest Hillary. Nope. Obama asked any evidence of collaboration between Trump campaign and Russia? As per Brennan's handwritten notes, Obama was just told Hillary made it all up. So James Comey responded, redacted, but there were four bullet points. Are they names of Trump advisors to be investigated? Mike Benz responds to this and says, how in the flying F has this document not been fully declassified yet? Yeah, we need to see this. We need to see what they did. They were told it's all fake. Very, very interesting. The other thing that's really, really interesting, and you can see the deep state players definitely panicking right now, because Peter Strzok decided to delete all his posts on X. Kyle Becker put this out and said, the corrupt FBI agent who led Clinton's server, the Trump-Russia collusion investigations, Peter Strzok, just deleted all his X posts. This comes amid a slew of criminal referrals sent to the DOJ over the Russia hoax. Good morning. And then Hans said, why did the Wayback Machine scrub Strzok's tweets? Who gave the order? Well, I do believe, I think on the Wayback Machine, you could do it yourself. Actually, when you put his URL in for x.com, Peter Strzok, it comes up, sorry, this URL has been excluded from the Wayback Machine. Sean Davis responded and said, why would Strzok, in the midst of a sprawling federal and criminal investigation of the Russia collusion hoax, nuke all his tweets and then direct the Wayback Machine to eliminate the archive of his tweets? Because he's guilty. He's trying to cover it up. It's not going to work. Because the cover-up always gets you in the end. And actually, this proves that he's guilty. Holy crap, these people are stupid. And we can see that CIA Chief John Radcliffe, he's letting us know that, yes, indictments are coming. And he's going to declassify a lot of information. Paul Sperry put this out and said, sources close to CIA Chief John Radcliffe tell me he's declassified all CIA equities in Special Counsel John Durham's report, including interview transcripts, appendices, investigative notes, and DOJ is poised to release while Organized Crime Strike Force vets for evidence. Wow, the transcripts. This is going to be very, very interesting. So think about it. Obama, Comey, and the rest, they pushed this investigation. They spent $32 million. I think, yes, these people should go to jail, but they should also pay back everything that they spent on the fake investigation. They spent $32 million of the people's money. That's not even including how much they paid off the fake news. I think they should repay all this money. The whole thing is fake. And like we said before, Radcliffe says John Brennan, James Comey, and Hillary Clinton are likely to be indicted. So when are they going to pull the trigger? When is it going to happen? This is going to be very, very interesting. And think about it. What about Barack Obama? Well, you have to remember the Supreme Court ruled that, yes, the president does have immunity, but he has immunity up until January 20th, 2017. Because at noon, Trump was inaugurated. So anything prior to that, he has immunity. After that, he's no longer the president. And the grand conspiracy never ends. Actually, John Radcliffe confirms that. That no, the grand conspiracy has continued since that time. So Obama can be brought up on charges as a co-conspirator or the conductor of it all. Think about what has happened here. Obama is trapped in all of it. Pragmatic put this out and said, Trump's people are running an information operation designed to inform the public about what is coming. Ratcliffe makes criminal referrals for Brennan and Comey. Tulsi goes on new shows accusing Obama of seditious conspiracy. Today, Ratcliffe tells the world that all the conspirators, including Obama, can be charged because none have withdrawn from the conspiracy, which continues to this day. Have they withdrawn? Are they continually pushing the idea that, yes, there's been Russian collusion? So there is no statute of limitations. Yes, Trump can still get them all, and he's going to. Let's go back to a couple of posts here. Post 4615, July 28, 2020. Nice Delta. Information warfare. That's exactly what we're in. 1743, July 28, 2018. A question on the board from an Anon says, will this still be the month the world discovers the truth and what we Anons know is conspiracy no more? Down below, the response was the truth revealed? FISA dossier, important marker, think connections, D5. Then let's go back to post 1745, July 28, 2018. FISA equals start. FISA equals immediate confirmation of illegal acts, are e-signers. FISA equals immediate confirmation start of Hussein's spy campaign to rig an election was based on false info. FISA equals implicates Hillary Clinton D Party as feeders of false info with the intent of securing mainstream media and blast insurance. FISA equals implicates senior members of UK, MI5, MI6, CIS, US Intel, White House, Five Eye, Republican Party, Congress, Senate, of known corruption in effort to retain power and rig an election, plus safeguard events
Jittery
like political
connection,
appeal
jittery
to act while in
connection.
power, given mainstream media fake push Russia narrative. FISA equals ties mainstream media heads, TV behind Corp, to D Party with other foreign heads of state in cooperation strategy. FISA brings down the House. Freedom of Information
Fill
Act
me
request
up,
does not
Buttercup.
include FISA.
Fill me up.
Declassed by POTUS key parts that factually demonstrate the dirty fake dossier was used as primary source to secure highest level of intel spying on primary Republican opponent, plus post-election intel assets for domestic spying on the President of the United States for the office of the Presidency of the United States of America. Logical thinking, public awareness, FISA spying, foundation built, Huber, and we can see that everything that was said back then is now coming true. Future proves the past. And that's exactly what we're witnessing today, and we were told, going all the way back to 2018, this is what we were going to
Alright,
find
we'll
out.
finish
It
harvesting
is
this
no
field
longer
and
a
then we're
conspiracy,
out.
but a fact. And the people of this country are now learning about the facts. And the deep state players,
butt
what
is
they're-
getting
the problem they're
tired.
having is that they can't counter the facts. They can try to spin, but they're not making sense because as more information comes out, it gets worse and worse for them. And this is what Trump wanted. He wanted the entire country to come together, and he
Get
wanted
this
the
guy
entire
back
country
on the
to know
farm.
who the true enemy really is. Cynical Publius put this out and said, I spent some time lately suggesting that we can and should try to make the Democrats in our lives understand how awful Russiagate actually was and is. I get tons of responses along the lines of, they'll never listen. Really? Well, consider this. Most Democrats now acknowledge that the Steele dossier was a hoax. Most, not all. I know we still have those Japanese soldiers hiding on remote Pacific Islands in 1970, still fighting for the emperor. Think about that for a second. The Steele dossier was once the bedrock upon which Democrat Trump hate was built. But because we were relentless in exposing its lies, it's now understood to be a total hoax. That means we can do the same with all the other Russiagate lies Democrats currently believe. Be kind, but be relentless. Show them facts. Make them understand the evil they have been supporting. Do not stop. And before it, you go all doomster on me. Whoever believed the Berlin
Gotta take it
Wall
wide with
would
this
fall.
trailer.
And I do believe he's absolutely right. Because, again, the people must know the truth. You think they're going to learn it from CNN? You think they're going to learn it from MSNBC? I mean, we can see already that CNN, Wolf Blitzer, is cutting off the part where Trump says Clinton visited the island 28 times. They didn't want their people to hear that. But I do believe with social media and now people talking about it, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them. And once again, they're going to be losing the narrative on this, and they're going to wake up to the fact that this entire Russia thing was a gigantic lie. If that's a lie, then almost everything else then is a lie. And eventually what they'll do as time goes on, they will accept what the deep state has done, which means they will know who the enemy really is. Sometimes it's very, very hard to accept, because when you're brainwashed and when you're continually brainwashed over and over and over, and you hear the truth, you kind of say, that's impossible. How could that be? And I think now people are starting to hear from all different areas, and it's going to get worse and worse for the fake news. It's going to get worse and worse for the deep state players. And this is why Trump wants his nominees confirmed, because he needs these people in place. He needs his people that he's endorsing to get elected for the House. Those people that he's endorsing for the Senate. He needs these people to get elected, because we need full and utter control of the entire situation. If you remember, the Senate and the House, they still have swamp creatures in there, and they must be removed. And I do believe they will be removed. And remember, Trump has the ability to adjourn the House and Senate. Remember, the House right now, they're on recess. So the Senate right now is deciding what they're going to do. Trump can say, listen, they're having a disagreement. This is no good. I'm going to adjourn both. They're recessing. And the deep state players, they probably know that he has the ability to do this. And they're trying to figure out a way where they can stop him from getting his nominees confirmed. But I think in the end, they're going to fail, just like with everything else. And once he gets these individuals confirmed, he's going to have a lot more control, which means he's going to come out with a lot more information. You know what he's doing right now? He's building the storm. And the storm is getting stronger and stronger. Why? Because the Patriots are in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.
Perfect timing. End of the X-22 report. And I reckon we're done harvesting. We're empty. Let's put our pipe away. Hold up our harvester. Get her back home. Actually, I bet we can just tuck this right in. Right into these trees. Watch this. What? I'm gonna tuck myself in there. It'll let me tuck myself in here. Ready? Bam.
You're listening to the X-22 Report. I'm dating this episode 3698 BN. Today's date is July 30th, 2025 on the top
Oh,
of
this is
Kansas
going
Biz.
back to July
Cyber attacks,
30th.
tsunami of information. Did Trump just trap Obama with presidential immunity? What the hell? We partnered with Gundry MD to share this information with you. Would you believe me if I told you inside your pantry right now is one of the healthiest foods on the planet? Yep, it's true, and it's not some weird trendy superfood. Spoiler alert, it's olive oil. You're probably used to cooking with it, but there are countless ways to use olive oil to help yourself look and feel younger. For example, olive oil is a natural way to help you achieve a more youthful appearance. Besides helping you look younger on the outside, it's a fantastic tool for your insides as well. According to Dr. Stephen Gundry, a famous cardiothoracic surgeon, nutrition expert, and health advocate, you should get as much high-quality olive oil into your daily routine as possible, whether it's taking a shot of it daily or keeping a bottle of it in your bathroom medicine cabinet. But what kind of olive oil is best for your health? Well, any olive oil can give you some benefits, but if you're looking to get the best results, it matters a lot which one you pick. The olive oil industry is huge. You can tell by the number of olive
Alright,
oil
we'll
brands you
harvest
see at a
and
grocery
we'll
store, and
bring
you
this
can
in
bet they're not
later.
all made with the consumer in mind. Many brands
Just keep
even cut
off the
corners
track
one way or
now.
another to increase profits. When Dr. Gundry came to this
Alright,
realization,
saving.
he was appalled. But some olive oils are so
Saving
powerful,
and
you may
quitting, and
only
that's
take
gonna
a
be
few
a wrap.
tablespoons a week to see these incredible health benefits. So,
Whoa.
how can you tell between an olive oil that can be a health booster
Saving and
which one
quitting,
isn't
and
up to
that's
par?
gonna
In an effort to
be
answer that
a
question, Dr. Gundry
wrap.
decided to take a stand and release his personal research and findings. This video has gone viral since its release, and it's
I
important
thank
you
you,
see it so you
everybody,
can start benefiting
for
immediately.
hanging
You can
out.
watch the video